turns out, counting your days on NoFap actually makes your mind weaker, not stronger. If you read success stories of NoFap in the forums, you will often find that counting days actually didn't matter to them. And often they even say that it held them back. Yet, counting days is one of the core components in the community. And before I go any further, let me be very clear about something. If counting days currently is the only way for you to make progress, then keep doing it. But it might be a strong indicator that you need to do some serious work in other areas when it comes to mental strength. And I will give you another approach that has given me serious gains over the last couple of years, and one that you can start using today. But first, why does counting days actually sabotage you? Essentially, there are two reasons. When I started out, I was focused on getting my streak as high as possible, with my main focus on not doing PMO. Which sounds reasonable at first, but you may have noticed something in yourself or others that I certainly noticed in me. Because it tends to make you focus on quantity over quality, meaning that the only thing that truly matters to us is that we build our streaks up. Because if this magical number would be high enough, we would be able to levitate, and women would magnetically fly at us crotch first. So things would become too stressful, or I would be emotionally dysregulated. I would start using way too much YouTube, video games, or even junk food to like soothe my dopamine pangs. And I considered it at least okay, because after all, it would help me get my number up. And that is what mattered the most, right? Well, no, because most guys understand fairly quickly that you have to give your mind something to build towards, something to aim at, instead of just telling it to run away from something. Because you can run away in a million directions and most options are wrong. That's why it's so important to be clear about what you aim at. So at some point I realized that counting my days of abstinence would actually keep reminding me of something I did not want in my life and keep me connected with it. But you can still count days if you do it correctly. For example, what I still do to this day is keeping track of the days or of the hours or whatever, the time that I invest in building towards my life. The days I worked out, the hours I worked out, the hours I spent building my business, the hours I spent studying something. It has a more positive orientation. And on top of that, it actually gives me very clear feedback on what I'm actually doing and how much I'm really putting into my projects. Because it is very easy to kind of sort of lie to yourself, like how much work you actually put in. And from that very concrete feedback, you can gain a lot and make very good adjustments to build even better. So, in short, it makes you stronger and mentally healthier to orient your life towards building towards something rather than running away from something. Number 2, and the second one builds on the first one, because when my streak was going great, I was feeling like the king, like on top of the world. But if I relapsed, my streak was low, I felt like the worst piece of shit ever. My entire identity was wrapped up in this one number, and there were phases where I hyper focused on that, and I thought that is like the only indicator of a good life, and that this is the only thing that matters. And all the other areas of life that are at the very least as important, if not probably even more important, I didn't care about them at all, or not as much as I should have. So my entire self-worth was built on this one pillar instead of a whole bunch of them, which obviously would be way more stable. Meaning that if one pillar doesn't work so well at the moment, then you still have all the other ones. But if you only have this one and it breaks and your entire identity and self-worth is tied up in this one, the whole thing falls over. So I saw this in myself, and I also saw this in all the other guys. First, we get really obsessed about this one thing, about brawn basically, and then we switch around, do 180, and we get really obsessed about getting away from it. So maybe after all, the thing that is actually dragging us down is the obsession. Wow. Because a big part of training for a very strong, very healthy mind is learning to control your obsessions. Sometimes you switch them on, other times you switch them off, but you're always calm and grounded in yourself and in control. And when I noticed that I was able to adequately spread my awareness, spread my energy into all these different areas of my life that are very, very important, my motivation skyrocketed, my confidence became more and more solid because I was building all these things in my life that just really deeply mattered to me, and also my mood in general was just way more stable. Friends, purpose, family, work, different aspects of my health, a hobby, nature, finances, spirituality, all of these areas are really important to me, and all of them combined create a much more stable and healthy support system. So in short, build your identity on a higher number of pillars instead of just one or two. And here you get a bonus tip now. Don't just think about what your most important pillars are, what really matters to you once or twice, and then expect it to stick. You really have to build or forge your new identity, and that takes time and conscious focus. Basically actively rehearse your new identity once in the morning and once in the evening. And this can take less than 5 minutes, especially if you get used to it. Stick to an easy framework to go through, and this makes it very quick. You can screenshot the one I'm putting up here. Think about the 4 most important areas in your life. What kind of man do you want to be? How do you want to act in each area? Relationships, finance, health, spirituality, self-development. Just go through each area, and I create the fulfillment vision for myself, like who do I want to be, what I care about in each area. But then I also go into the anti-vision, like what do I not want in my life, how do I not want to act. First I go through the anti-vision, then the pro-vision, just to like set my mind straight. And that really gets you going in the right direction. But over the years, I've discovered many more ways in which guys completely sabotage themselves and make their mind even weaker. And in this video, I show you a very fast and at the same time extremely powerful tool to completely break the negative programming of your mind. So click it and check it out.